All right. We're gonna get a couple sutras done. We're on number 12. So when mind control and the controlling factor are equally balanced, then comes the condition of one-pointedness. The Sanskrit term used is difficult to explain clearly. Such terms as one-pointed, single, and intent, fixed, synthesized, perfected concentration all give some idea of the mind condition under consideration. The aspirant is now deliberately unconscious of all states of mind relating to the three worlds. His attention is focused upon a specific object and primarily upon the reality or subjective life, veiled by the form of the object. He is likewise unconscious of himself, the thinker or knower, and only that which is contemplated is realized in the true sense of the term. This is the negative aspect. It should be remembered, however, that this is a very active mental state, for the perceiving consciousness is aware of the objective in a most comprehensive manner. The sum of its qualities, aspects, and vibration is revealed to him, as well as the essential central energy which has called that particular object into manifestation. This is revealed by the illuminating light of the mind being steadily directed upon that object. The perceiving consciousness is also aware of its identification with the reality behind the form. This is the true occult realization, but it is not the realization of the object so much as a realization of unity with or identification with the life it veils. Yeah, that's, that's so interesting. I have my own thought on this, but we're just going to have to keep going because it, identification with the life that it veils. This is in itself a dual condition, but not in the ordinarily accepted sense. There is, however, a still higher state of consciousness when the unity of the life in all forms is realized, and not simply unity with the life in one specific object. There is, however, a still higher state of consciousness when the unity of the life in all forms is realized, and not simple unity with the life in one specific object. Okay, so this is this was my question actually, because I'm thinking, well, it's just one. So everything's going to reveal the unity, but I guess that's not the case. And this can be looked at in the book by Annie Besant and Ledbetter, or C.W. Ledbetter. What's it called? Occult Chemistry. So the book Occult Chemistry, it was said that they went and viewed and looked into these. Give me a second here. The elements, and we're aware of the elements on the periodic table before the periodic table was actually developed, and they had, I want to say, more detail and knew more because they had gone into the elements and they viewed them. And so they did pull out the aspects of it as well. And you know, that book is very very scientific. I have the book. I'm not saying I understand it. I've read through it and pan through it, and it's intense. It's intense. I don't know what else to say. But this is interesting here. So there's a still higher state where the unity of the life in all forms is realized, and not simply unity with the life in one specific object. All right, the 13th Sutra. Through this process, the aspects of every object are known. Their characteristics or form, their symbolic nature, and their specific use in time conditions and stage of development are known and realized. All right, so I'm looking forward to expanding on this. I thought, yeah, that was have to be pretty long there. It's got to be comprehensive. It should here be borne in mind that every form of divine manifestation has three aspects, and hence is made truly in the image of God with all divine potentialities. In the human kingdom, this is recognized. It is equally true of all forms. This triple nature is grasped by the truly concentrated yogi, and the three are seen as they exist and yet are recognized as constituting one whole. I did it again. I read the words and I was just not even here. I don't know where I went off to there for a second. I need to read them again. I'm sorry. It should here be borne in mind that every form of divine manifestation has three aspects, and hence is made truly in the image of God with all divine potentialities. And this is something that Carla had taught us. She said, you really don't expect to try to understand everything, but if everything will be broken down into the three, and if you can keep that in mind, then and this is will, love, wisdom, and intelligent activity, or life and will, right? And love, wisdom, and intelligent activity. So if you can keep this in mind, we can go much deeper, and we'll really always see the three coming up, the triplicities. So in the human kingdom, this is recognized. It is equally true of all forms. This triple nature is grasped by the truly concentrated yogi, and the three are seen as they exist and yet are recognized as constituting the whole. So this is, this is very deep here, where we can look at these three and then look at the aspects. I want to say this kind of comes in like as what we were talking about up top, where we can see the intelligent activity. We can see this aspect, the mental kind of aspect here, and then we can see the love, wisdom, the reasoning, and the logic, and then we can also see the whole. So that's pretty wild. It is equally true of all forms. This triple nature is grasped by the truly concentrated yogi, and the three are seen as they exist, and yet are recognized as constituting one whole. And just as this triplicity is constituting one whole, which is really the one. In this commentary, Johnston gives us a picture of the ideas involved in the following words. We get a twofold view of this object, seeing at once all its individual characteristics, its essential character, species, and genus. We see it in relation to itself and in relation to the eternal. In a curious way, these three aspects cover the three aspects of the time equation, or of the relationship of the object to its environment. One, characteristics of the form. The first aspect we're looking at here. In this phrase, the tangible outward aspect of the form are seen. The matter side of the manifesting idea is dealt with, and that which can be contacted through the medium of the senses is first considered and dismissed. This form is the result of the past, and the limitations due to the point in evolution are recognized. This form is the result of the past, and the limitations due to the point in evolution are recognized. Every form carries in itself the evidence of the previous cycles, and this can be seen in its rate of vibration, the nature of its rhythm, the amount of light which it permits to manifest, and its occult color. And let's say that this is this third aspect here. Let's say it's the activity here, the intelligent activity, or the I don't want to say third ray, but I kind of do. All right, let's keep going here. Let's go to 2. The symbolic nature. Every object is but the symbol of a reality. And I want to say this is going to be the love wisdom aspect here. The difference in the development of the forms which symbolize and embody that reality is the guarantee that at some future date, all the symbols will achieve the fruition of their mission. A symbol is an embodied idea, the working out an objective existence of some life. This is the consciousness aspect, and 2 great revelations are latent in every symbol or form. 2 great revelations are set back to be understood in every symbol or form. A, the revelation of full consciousness, or the streaming forth of that response to contact which is potential or differing as yet in all forms, but which can and will be carried forward to the full flood tide of awareness. And B, the revelation of that which the consciousness aspect, the second aspect, right here, love wisdom, that's the second ray, the monadic ray, bridging these. Also in line with the Buddhic and the astral, right? So the 2, 4, 6 line there. The unveiling of the soul leads to the manifestation of the one life. The manifestation of the Son of God leads to a knowledge of the Father. The shining forth of the higher self through the medium of the lower self produces the revelation of the divine or spiritual self. The matrix holds the diamond, and when the matrix reveals its hidden gem, and the work of cutting and polishing is accomplished, the glory of the jewel will be seen. When the lotus plant has grown to maturity, the flower comes to fruition, and the center of its petals, the jewel in the lotus, can be seen. Om Mani Padme Hum. And that's, hell, the jewel in the lotus, right? Common mantra. This symbolic aspect of forms is true of all, and whether the symbol is the atom of substance, the mineral, or a tree, an animal, or the form of the Son of God, the jewel of the first aspect will be found hidden. It will make its presence known through the quality of consciousness in one or other of its many states. And 3, then we have specific use and time conditions. As the yogi, one pointedly concentrates on the form or object, meditates on its quality, the subjective aspect or symbolic nature, and contemplates the life veiled by the form, but testified by the factor of consciousness, he becomes aware of the present stage of development, and thus the future, past, and present stand revealed to his intuition. It will be apparent, therefore, to even the casual reader that if meditation in its 3 above-mentioned stages is carried forward correctly, all knowledge becomes possible. To the yogi, the eternal now is a realized fact in nature, and the intelligent cooperation with the evolutionary plan becomes possible. Service is then based on complete understanding. Omniscience is a very high state. I want to say that's, that's at this level here is omniscience, is all knowing. And that's, that's the master level there. Not to say that this isn't understood through intuition either. In the spiritual triad, and it's coming down, and this can be known, these can be known at the level of the at the soul, right? Once we get up here, we got to get up here to this, to the soul. We make contact with the spiritual triad, and then we're into downloads, right? We're not into mental mind stuff down here anymore. We're working from downloads, as I understand it. Big thought forms, bigger thought forms, more comprehensive. More significant. They have more meaning. They're logical. There's no question as to where they came from or whether they're accurate or not. It's just a knowing. It's not thinking. There's no need to think. It's a knowing, right? That's how it's been explained. And the eternal now, that's certainly something that I've spent time contemplating, and it's something that it's now, and it's more than just now. It's still the same now as when you first contemplate it, which is just very wild. It's just very amazing to shrink the time into the present and what is. And service is then based on complete understanding, and this service being based on complete understanding would have to be something along the lines of, once you get to this point, we understand. The rest is, we have to help walk each other home, I assume, and everything else is a side gig compared to what we the spiritual walk. It becomes the primary, right? It's the primary at this point. It's no longer secondary. It's a 24-hour thing at this point. So, all right, let's see what we got here. Let's move on to 14. 14th Sutra, the characteristics of every object are acquired, manifesting, or latent. I assume whether manifesting or latent. Much the same idea is covered in this sutra as in the previous one. In time and space, all characteristics have relative values. The goal is one, the origin is one, but owing to the differing rates of vibration of the 7 great breaths or streams of divine energy, and I would also add rays to that, every life poured forth upon them differs and is distinctive. The stage of development of the 7 lords of the rays is not equal. Okay, there you go. The 7 lords of the rays. The unfoldment of the life of the various planetary logoi, or the 7 spirits before the throne of God, is not uniform, and the atoms in their bodies or the monads who constitute their vehicles are therefore not uniform in unfoldment. This is a vast subject. It cannot be more than touched upon here. Yet the master did and Alice Bailey did a treatise on the 7 rays, and it's volumes. It's let's say it's 5 books. It is esoteric psychology 1 and 2, esoteric astrology, esoteric healing, and rays and initiations. And esoteric healing 1 and 2. I think there's 2 books. Maybe it's just 1. Let me just look real quick. Okay, yeah, it is the 5 books of a treatise on the 7 rays. So it's esoteric healing is just 1 book. All right, this vast subject cannot be more touched upon here. Students will find that of interest to search for information in the given different presentations of the one truth, anent the great lives in whom we live and move and have our being. They can be studied under the following names. And what's also interesting about this is this was done in 1927, and much time was spent after this shining light on the 7 rays. And really the 7 rays are they can be seen everywhere and line up with many planes and such, right? 7 rays, and here we have 7 planes, so we have 7 rays, and it goes very deep. So we have 7 rays, the 7 spirits before the throne, the 7 planetary logoi, the 7 great lords, 7 aeons, 7 emanations, and the 7 prajapatis. And other less known terms, and much light will be forthcoming. Oh, there you go. In the characteristic form, taking into consideration its specific point in development and its lack of development is revealed to the knower. So in the characteristic form, revealed to the knower. A, sum total of acquirement, that which the past is given. This is the total chord which the soul of that object is as yet capable of sounding. Particular range of qualities out of that total acquisition which the life is manifesting through any specific form. This is the present note and the acquired chord which the soul of the object has chosen to sound. The present note, all right, so the past has given, past, present, and now we're moving into the future. That which is latent and possible, this knowledge will be dual, revealing first the latent possibilities to be unfolded through the medium of the form contemplated, and secondly, the latent possibilities capable of unfoldment in the present world cycle through various forms. This covers future developments. This will give the yogi a completed chord when the great evolutionary cycle has run its course. And that, we can see this here as well. I listen, from where I'm sitting, I see it as past, present, and future here as well. So again, we have the triplicity that can kind of be seen again. I don't know if, don't listen to me. I don't know if this is right. I'm just studying along with us. I'm sure you guys have your own thoughts come up. This stuff is incredible. All right, let's go on to the 15th sutra. The stage of development is responsible for the various modifications of the versatile psychic nature and of the thinking principle. This is a very general paraphrase of the idea involved and is in the nature of a summing up of the rather abstruse ideas of the text. The sutras following upon this one deal for the remainder of book 3 with the results of meditation. The preceding sutras have considered the hindrances and difficulties that have to be overcome before true meditation is possible. The key to that overcoming and the difference between aspirants to the path is made apparent in this sutra. The ascertaining of one's approximate place upon the ladder of evolution, the summing up of one's assets and debits is one of the most useful activities the would-be aspirant can undertake. An understanding of the stage reached and of the next step to be taken is essentially for all true progress. Johnston translates this sutra in the words, "Difference in stage is the cause of difference in development," and goes on to say, the first stage is the sapling, the caterpillar, the animal. The second stage is the growing tree, the chrysalis, the man. The third is the splendid pine, the butterfly, the angel. And I think we're going to leave it there for today. We're going to move into a different stage in the book. And ponder on this, taking up a, this is twofold, I want to say here, because, we undertake, we set out to find out where we're at on the ladder of evolution initially, certainly, with fiery aspiration and desire to know where we're at, and that takes up a lot of time, and it can become a trap in a sense. But nevertheless, studying rays and initiations, studying the initiations in rays is good. Studying the initiations in from Bethlehem to Calvary are good. Studying initiation, human and soul, and even cosmic fire has talk of the initiations from different perspectives. And figuring out where we're at is important, but it's also, kind of another trap in a sense, because then we can become too attached to it, and it can actually end up delaying progress because there isn't an anxiousness and all that, and then we hang on to it. I'm gonna say, I think we all probably do that though. So, I'll ask this question, and I'll see what we get back about that, because it seems like it's a natural part of the the whole process. Maybe once you kind of figure out your direction, maybe the answer is to let it go. Then, like, once you have an idea of where you're at in the in this process, whether you're a sapling, caterpillar, or the animal, or growing the tree just supposed to man, or you're a pine, a butterfly, or an angel. Whether you're an animal, man, or angel, right? These stages that we're at. I mean, if you're at high stages, then you would automatically know these things. So most of us, are working, regardless of where we're at. Honestly, we're all working towards the third initiation. And if you've already been through that stage and through that, well, then you already know what we're talking about here. Right. So there's that. Right. And then, by all means, feel free to, join some videos with us, and let's talk about things. We like to hear new perspectives. It's hugely important. But all right, we're going to leave it there. We'll get back up, and we're going to start on this next stage of the book tomorrow. Have a good night.